Welcome, dear seekers of healing and harmony, to Entheonanda, where the mystical meets the practical and the power of microdosing sacred earth medicine is revealed. Between the harmonizing power of nature and the subtle intricacies of the human mind, we discover a path to balance and well being. Join us on this enchanting journey as we explore the art of healing through microdosing, where the tiniest doses yield the grandest transformations. It's a journey of self discovery and gentle restoration, and we are honored to be your guides. Hi there, I'm Amy.
I'm Jennifer.
And we are Entheonanda. So, welcome, welcome. Today, we just wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about um, microdosing for a healthier winter. So, here we go. I think the most important thing that we've found is giving ourselves permission to sort of go inward. It's sort of the season sort of calls for that, right?
Yes.
The weather is getting crazy, and we spend a lot of time indoors, and I think it's really a good time to take advantage of that and to give ourselves permission to slow down, because we do tend to go 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 go, and I think it's important to remember that we deserve rest and that we need rest, and just to be conscious about allowing ourselves to have that and restore ourselves in this
Yes.
season of our lives.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's good to remember too that or know if we're not aware of this yet, that society rewards us for that go, go, go. Like so that's
Yeah,
it really there's that feedback loop of probably like a little dopamine hit we get, even though we're exhausted, but we're like, but we're busy, right? But we're going,
yeah,
but our life is full.
yeah,
And we're getting a little reward because people are like, oh, yeah, wow, she's really up to stuff, or he's doing a lot, or wow, good for you, right? And so it can take something consciously at this time to kind of push back on that a little bit, because we need to. A lot of my clients I'm talking to right now, they're like, wow, why, like almost wondering, why am I so tired right now? Why do I feel extra depleted right now?
yeah,
Well, it's dark and it's cold, at least around where we live. And
yeah,
it's windy, and that has this bone chilling effect that sort of cuts through everything. And it's important to slow down and give yourself permission to slow down and be indoors, like consciously resting. But it does take something to push against that societal norm of just go, keep
yeah,
going every day. I should be out with my
yeah.
friends. I should work extra hours. I should be, whatever, you know.
Yeah, and the holidays as well add a lot of pressure for many
Ooh,
people, because there's pressures of spending time with friends and family, which for some can be anxiety inducing. And then there's pressures of the time and the money and the all of
yeah.
the things that we're expected to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important to balance that with this sort of going inward, slowing down,
Yeah.
taking time to hibernate a little bit.
I know. I love this idea. Years ago, there were a lot of memes going by on my social media account about wishing that humans could hibernate like bears, and I was so in agreement. I was at a time
I'm
where
down for that.
I'm depleted. Yeah, we're like, why can't I just eat a lot through the fall, get nice and chunky,
Yes.
and then just sort of sleep all winter and burn it off? Like that sounds amazing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And
Yes. Sign
and
me
so
up, please.
right?
Oh,
Right, but we
gosh.
can't quite do that and still pay our bills and still sustain life, unfortunately, but it
Right.
stayed with me, and I started to put in these little places consciously in my life where I would rest. And, like, for example, one of the things I put into place, a few winters ago, is like not going out of my house after dark, like making sure I was home or almost home by, by the time it was becoming dark. It's
Nice.
dark early here where we are. And so that's sometimes hard to do if you're coming home from work at that time. But like, I don't go out of my way in the darkest part of winter to plan a lot of evening events. I say
Yeah.
no to a lot of evening events because I
Nice.
just I want to be, I like choose that consciously. I'm not being antisocial. I still text and call with my friends, but I just want to be at home resting during that time when it's dark. It's like deeply self-nurturing for me. And it
Yeah.
helps recuperate and get a little bit of that energy back into the system. Rather than trying to continue to push myself in the cold and the dark, which is very depleting for me.
Yeah. Very much true.
Yeah. 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 And for
Yeah.
me, it's like I have one of my teachers recently said something about like maybe considering, especially during this time, that the term self-care is, maybe no longer enough for us. Like that's still self-care. There's still this
Mm.
aspect of work involved, and it still feels depleting even to take on self-care. But like thinking instead of deep self-nurturing, like deep self,
Yeah.
that just sounds to me like so much more. Like, what could you treat yourself to that's also bringing energy back in and really caring for yourself, right?
Mm. Yeah, that little extra bit of support, our immune system needs that. And
Yeah,
I think all of our systems
yeah,
need that, really.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Whole body, whole self.
Absolutely. Self-nurturing. I really like that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. So one of the easy ways that I start to approach that, and forgive me if you wanted to jump in with something
No,
else,
please.
I just am going right into this. I really like to utilize a cannabis topical through the winter because, partly because of the weather around where we live. We're in the Pacific Northwest of North America, and it's rainy and it's cold and it's windy and it's dark, and that weather tends to feel especially bone chilling, and it just seems to cut right through everything. And no matter how many layers of clothing I wear, and every little ache and pain that I have gets accentuated. And when you think about,
Yeah.
someone like, I have a history of fibromyalgia in my past that doesn't plague me too much anymore because of the work I've done, but certainly a lot of my clients have that as well. And that also, fibromyalgia is really kind of, it has some trauma connected to it. And all of that can get
Mm.
inflamed this time of year. And so anything from gentle aches and pains all the way to, actually dealing with some kind of major, physiological disorder where you are feeling body pain, something like simply using a topical, you know, um, a cannabis topical with a good balance of THC and CBD, and taking the time to like be with your body and working it in, like massaging your arms and
Mhm.
your legs, your joints, wherever you're actually working that in. It's like that for me is not only is the topical going to be helping you with the pain, but there's consciously caring for yourself in the gentleness of the way you are interacting with your own body, this earth suit that
Yeah.
is yours for this lifetime.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is one
Touch is
important.
so important, right? Touch for
Yeah,
humans is so important. So even, when we take the time to touch ourselves in
yes.
that sort of like gentle, relaxing, loving way is
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a big part of it
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I find topicals are fantastic. I also like there are lozenges, there are all
Mhm.
kinds of I like to do a little, either honey or
Mm.
infused sugar
Yeah.
in my tea. Just
Yes.
kind of little it's not just about using cannabis, but I think the point that we're trying to make is that the way that you use it is so important, and that you can play around with different methods. Like maybe you do have a different wintertime routine than what you have in the summer. But yeah, certainly with chronic pain and inflammation, those can both be really influenced by the colder weather. And anxiety and depression can also really skyrocket at this time of year, both because of the
Yeah.
holidays, as we talked about before, but also just the lack of sun and being indoors as much as we like that for being able to get cozy and,
Yeah.
do the work with ourselves. It can
Yeah.
also be isolating.
Yeah.
We do sometimes miss having people about and being able to just go out and be lively and have fun with people.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, it's and this is a time when I know some of my clients feel like they might be leaning, if they're not careful, leaning on cannabis, or their fear is that if they're not careful, they're gonna maybe lean on cannabis as a bit of an escape, because cannabis
Hmm.
can, if you don't use it in right relationship, and with a therapeutic purpose, right? It has that ability to allow us to escape. And this is a time of year when a lot of people are, if they're not entering this time consciously and with self-care, right? There can be that tendency of just like, oh, let me just like help me get through. Just let me survive this, please. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, along those lines of what you're talking about, Amy, of maybe finding a little bit of activation, but supportively, I actually like to consciously turn more towards CBD at this time. And for a lot of people, and this is highly
Yeah.
individual with cannabis, highly individual in terms of dose and exactly your experience. But for a lot of people, a lower dose, like a microdose of CBD, is actually kind of uplifting. And
Hmm.
that might be really helpful this time of year. Maybe you do want to go out to that party you get invited to, because you have been taking care of yourself, hopefully, and getting some rest in. And so that at the end of the week or on the weekend, you can go to that holiday party that you've been invited to, and you want to
Hmm.
feel a little, really like being nurtured, but also feel a little activated and supported and creative and enlivened for it. And
Yeah.
yeah, CBD can really help. Whereas heavily leaning on the THC at this time of year, might not be the time.
Yeah.
Unless you consciously chose.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I love that idea of support rather than escape, because I think that
Yeah.
over the years, that's people are understanding that more now, as people are appreciating the medicine that this is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was sort of part of the stigma is that it is this tool for just like escape. So, but I would also like to say that there's nothing wrong with the little escape too. I don't think anybody, I think it's fine to use cannabis for that purpose as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the idea is doing it consciously,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
opposed to just not thinking about it and getting high all the time. That's not what we're talking about. So,
Yeah, I know a lot.
yeah.
I know for me and a lot and friends and certain clients, like what's really nice is at the end of the day is it's like having that smoke or that vape with a good amount of THC, and like it like you like having that support you in like unwinding and letting go of the day. And I know that's a
Indeed.
real popular one, and I love that idea. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
love.
It's a little treat at the end of the day.
Yeah,
That's
right, right.
amazing. Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. Was there anything else we wanted to
Hmm.
touch on?
I've covered it for myself. Yeah. Yeah. This
Yeah,
is,
I
yeah,
think
it's a lot this time of year. It's a lot. It's a lot. And,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and primally, you know, for those of us, you know, obviously we're talking about the Northern Hemisphere, you know, where we feel, you know,
Yes.
this time of year, that's what we're talking about with winter. And the further north you go, you know, that sort of primal instinct, I think, kicks in of like, oh my gosh, are we going to survive? I always feel that every year, like coming around like
Mhm.
February as the daylight is noticeably longer, there is something deep in my nervous system that's like, okay, I've survived another winter. And
Yeah.
so, you know, at this point, going from November into December, where we are right now in the Northern Hemisphere, we're in it. We're in it. So it's a lot, you know,
Yeah.
and that, yeah, it takes, we are here, I think, in this session today saying we understand that navigation, what it takes,
Mhm.
where everyone, like what you're up against right now. And so
Yeah.
that's really what we're speaking to. Like we're
Yeah.
here, we
Just
understand. Yeah.
yeah, being aware of that and
Yeah.
moving with that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's valid. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, obviously, we're going to talk more about microdosing specifics in other videos, so we hope you'll stay tuned for those. We also have our Introduction to Microdosing Cannabis course on Teachable, which we're extremely excited about. So, if that's something that you're interested in, and you like our vibe, we really encourage you to go ahead and sign up for that. Yeah, Jennifer, you have anything else before we sign off?
That's good. No, that's it. Just
All
thank you,
right,
everyone.
awesome. All right. Well, the content provided in this podcast, of course, is intended for informational and educational purposes only. It is not meant to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. The use of plant based medicines should be under the guidance and supervision of a health professional and in compliance with local laws and regulations. All right. And with that being said, we love you all. Take care of yourselves and happy microdosing.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.